Now we are over at the orchard looking at the bees. This first one that we're giving feed to is one that we started in the fall. The type of feeder is just a tin can. It's totally empty, so we fill it up. Pretty simple. Just syrup. And then we put the cap on it, turn it upside down, and put it back over the hole that's on top of the box that they are in.
Yeah, we're very much out of food.
This is our industry hive, is what we call it. This is just the top feeder. Fill up this little thing, but we have a lot of bees that get stuck in it when I'm filling it up. So they'll grab onto anything, and then they grab one another, and then you just kind of drop it. In the top bar, we have another gravity feeder. This one was super moldy, so I did not add to it, but you can kind of see the design anyway, how it works. It's similar to the tin can, except that it has this little entrance so that you can put it on the bottom of the hive if you want to. Now it's time to inspect the hives. We go through and we look at each frame, see what we're looking at. The first one has a lot of honey, but we're really trying to find eggs and larvae.
No eggs.
Looking at this one, I don't see any eggs or larvae, but there is some capped honey, so they're doing something. This frame, as soon as I moved it, they started getting a little aggressive, coming out and bumping me, so had a pretty good idea that the queen was on here. If you can look at these, you can see those are not honey, but these are brood, which means that she laid some eggs. They have been nurturing them. They're growing into larvae, and then they cap them so they can finish developing. Turning it around so that I can see the other side. It's a little hard doing this with one hand. Okay, you can see that they're filling this up pretty well. Not the best that you would see, but she's covered probably a third. They're doing pretty well. Now I'll turn it around to look at the other side. Doesn't matter how many times I do this, every time I find the queen, it's really exciting. And there she is, about the center of the screen right now. She moves through all of these bees pretty quickly. They kind of clear a path for her usually, but she's kind of a big deal. Now looking behind into those little cones, those white dots are actually eggs. They're maybe 2 or 3 days old. Now, this is just showing you what happens when I put the frames down a little too fast. They get a little upset with me. They started flying at me pretty good. But by the time I got my camera out, they had kind of calmed down. So, here I am reenacting what happened. You can see exactly.
Okay, now I can smell bananas. And that means they are releasing the pheromone. But they are mad. So I'm going to be quiet.
So now that I have looked at the frames here, everything looks good. So I'm putting them back together, making sure to leave the right amount of space. These guys are a little upset with me. And that has a lot to do with the fact that they had run out of feed there. And tend to get a little bit testy when that happens. So they're getting big enough that we need to check the feed more than once a week, evidently. So we slide the feed back on, and then I put a box around this to protect the feed to keep wasps out of it.
My husband's top bar hive.
Now to look at the hive that is a top bar hive style. I'm going to show you there's a difference between the males and the females. The males are called drones. They do not have stingers. If you see this guy who's especially big and hairy, That is a new drone.
Considerably bigger and have no
He must have
stinger.
just emerged from his
So
cell.
you don't have to worry about getting hurt.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of Learning as We Go Farming.
There's 1, 2.
Tune in next time and we will explore what queen cells are and how the gender of the bee is actually determined by what is fed to them.
So I'm gonna put that
If
one.
you have any questions or comments, please add them in the comments section so we can all continue to learn as we go together.